thought leadership and should you be using it as part of your PR strategy? When it comes to planning public relations and communications, you've probably heard the buzz phrase thought leadership, thought leadership, thought leadership. Or people in organizations saying we need to secure some thought leadership. We need to show we're thought leaders in our field. We need to boost our reputation through thought leadership. Well, what exactly is thought leadership and should you be using it as part of your PR strategy? I'm glad you asked the question. We're going to answer it today on Maybe Pod. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. This is your countercultural open PR playbook brought to you every week by Maybe Agency. My name is Katie Clift. I'm CEO and founder of Maybe Agency and host of Maybe Pod. I'm really excited to delve into this topic, thought leadership, because it's become a bit of a buzzword, especially in the past couple of years. And in some cases, organizations aren't really sure tangibly what thought leadership is. Does it mean feature articles? Does it mean press releases? Is thought leadership interviews for your senior executives? How does your organization show you're a thought leader in your field and why does it matter? We're going to delve into it big time in this episode. And we're going to start off with a definition as we often do on Maybe Pod because as I said, this phrase has kind of grown in popularity over the past couple of years, but people aren't really sure tangibly what is meant by thought leadership. So we head to the Cambridge Dictionary, which defines a thought leader as an expert on a particular subject whose ideas and opinions influence other people, especially in business, and thought leadership as the activity of influencing other people with your ideas and opinions on a particular subject, again, especially in business. So what do we derive from that? Well, thought leadership is active. It's about influencing other people with your thoughts and opinions on a particular subject. Being able to influence a range of stakeholders or your publics, which is what makes it a part of public relations strategy. Remember when we define PR on a previous episode of Maybe Pod, it's about all the relationships you have with all of your publics. And so if you're influencing your publics through thought leadership, by definition, it's a very good part of a PR strategy if utilized well. And while these definitions say especially in business, I'm going to extend that a little bit because the work we do at Maybe Agency is mostly with nonprofits, purpose-driven organizations, international organizations, and I would argue that thought leadership outside the business world can be just as effective pending what channels you use and which stakeholders you want to reach. So definitely it can be a great strategy for nonprofits and international organizations, not just in the business world. So how do we use thought leadership as part of our PR strategy? Well, if you can establish yourself, a spokesperson or your organization as an expert or a thought leader on a particular topic, it means your stakeholders will come to your organization, to your spokesperson to get the latest information on that theme or topic, making it a great way for you to relate to your publics and a great part of PR strategy. And by investing in thought leadership, you're really investing in the reputation of your organization and your spokesperson in terms of making yourselves experts in your field that you're commentating on. And this can be across a range of media platforms and different communications platforms where you need to reach your target stakeholders. So that could be across media, the general public, right through to your organizational peers, donors, advocates, even internal stakeholders. It really depends on who you're trying to influence. And I love to think of the art of thought leadership as a core PR strategy moving beyond promotion to organic PR. So this is you as a spokesperson or your organization providing valuable insights, research, or innovative perspectives that attract media attention, the attention of your stakeholders. They influence opinion, they build your brand, credibility, and reputation, and engagement with your target audiences. So the goal of utilizing thought leadership in PR is to build your reputation, build trust, increase visibility, influence opinion, and demonstrate your expertise. So now we understand the concept of thought leadership, but tangibly, what is it? How do we use it in our organizations effectively? Well, as I alluded to, there are a range of different PR tools that we can use to strengthen your thought leadership and to establish your organization as a thought leader. And we're going to talk through 4 of these today to get you started right away in terms of establishing yourself as a thought leader and dipping your toes into the world of thought leadership, if you will. So the top 4 we're going to go through: social media content creation, thought leadership articles, media relations, and relationship building. So these are 4 tangible PR tools that you can use to start to build your strategy around thought leadership. Let's start with social media content creation. We know that in the age of social media right now, compared to 10, 15, 20 years ago when it used to be a lot more about media consumption, through newspapers, through TV, a little bit of online. Social media is now well and above taken over in terms of viewership and engaging with audiences. And there's a lot of noise in the social media world. The key to cutting through that noise is consistent, high quality content. I would say quality and quantity content that can really help you establish yourself as a thought leader with your audiences. So what does this mean? Well, regularly publishing high quality content on your organization's vision, mission, and industry provides insight and value for your listeners. On social media, we know video is one of the best ways to do this, but you can also use graphics, different social media tiles to convey your message. Or perhaps share a link to a blog or article you've written that's a thought leadership commentary piece. These are all different types of content you can use on social media to establish yourself as a thought leader. The other thing I would caution and mention is that when it comes to social media, it's a long end game, meaning that you need to put in the hours and the time to see the social media content creation convert people to taking specific action that you're seeking for them to take to get them to know about your organization, and over time to see you as a leader because of the quality and the quantity of that content creation. So really you want to be looking at it as a long end game, adding value to your industry, adding value to your audiences by producing great quality content over time. That's what establishes you as a thought leader in social media. And again, my advice here would be to pick a couple of topics. Don't go out there and create content on anything and everything. Be narrow-minded about it. Choose a few key topics that you want your audiences to see you as a thought leader on, and invest in those over the long game. As I said, social media is rising. We know that the public is getting more of their news and information from social media than other sources. Just look at the Oscars moving to YouTube from a traditional broadcaster as one example. So there's less consumption of television, of radio, of newspapers, and a lot more on social media, which is where your organization needs to be. You know, here at Maybe Pod, we're a big fan of public relations and media strategies. So you still want to keep those running, but you do want to have this social media content creation as an element to complement the media strategy and to increase your reach. So that's social media content creation. What about thought leadership articles? This is one of my favorite PR tools when it comes to thought leadership that I use with my clients at Maybe Agency. And again, our client base is nonprofits, international organizations, purpose-driven organizations, and this can be really effective to build in thought leadership as part of PR strategy. It's unlike an opinion editorial, and we'll get to what an opinion editorial or an op-ed is, but a thought leadership article is really establishing your organization or a spokesperson as a thought leader, an expert in their field on a particular topic. So it's less opinion-based, and it's more about the knowledge they're sharing about the issued topic, subject, or theme that the thought leadership is authored on. Really, the best way to distinguish this is to say it's more about sharing your insights, your values, and your learnings on a particular subject, rather than your opinion, which would be more of an op-ed. And the great thing about thought leadership articles is that you can really tailor them to specific industries or publications where you want that thought leadership to be seen, read, heard, viewed, and where it's most relevant. This goes back to what I said about really narrowing down and making sure that you choose specific thought leadership topics that you can really, over time, create quality and consistent content on. It goes for social media, but it also goes for thought leadership articles. And over time, through hitting the same subject again and again, offering different insights and values, you build yourself as a credible go-to expert and person for the media, for your publics to rely on for the specific topics that you've chosen. The thing I will say about a thought leadership article is that it does have to have concrete points that still make it newsworthy. So you're sharing insights and values, but you need to have something that draws the media in if you want to get media placement. These can end up, and I've seen them for my clients, end up in the Wall Street Journal, the Financial Times, Reuters, so tier 1 global publications. And again, they're not opinion editorials, so they're not as controversial. They really are thought leadership pieces, but they have concrete points that make them newsworthy and therefore relevant to the media. I also love thought leadership because it helps you expand on a topic in written form. I would say as best practice, you want to aim for about 800 or 900 words for your thought leadership article. And they are explanatory, so they can be less editorial. They still need to, as we said, have a news hook, but they can be explanatory from your point of view, your organization's point of view, key elements of your chosen topic that make you a thought leader in the field. So focus on the explanatory angle. And how would I use this for my clients different to, for example, a press release or pitching an interview? Well, I would use it in tandem, and I can give you concrete examples. Often we put out a media release for one of our international organization clients and we'll follow it up with a thought leadership piece. So the media release will be, again, on a previous episode of Maybe Pod, we did the anatomy of a great press release. So maximum 1 to 2 pages. And the thought leadership piece complements the media release, which often has all the upfront information that you need for the media, and it's less able to get into the nitty-gritty, the explanatory, the thought leadership, the commentary aspect of the subject. So we'll pitch them in tandem. The media story will go out, the thought leadership piece will go on LinkedIn, on websites of the client, and also pitch to key select media where it makes sense for them to publish. You can definitely add more commentary through a thought leadership piece. It's a great add-on in your PR strategy. And we talked a little bit about it, but the third point today, the third PR tool when it comes to thought leadership is media relations. And what do I mean specifically? Well, thought leadership in media relations is key because journalists will turn to you when they know you're a key thought leader, expert on commentary on a particular subject or in a particular field. Journalists turn to people they know and they trust and they know are experts when they need a quick quote for a story or more details and information, and this can lead to getting your organization featured in a lot more media articles. I've seen this time and time again, that through thought leadership, the media get to recognize you as a leading voice and they'll turn to you time and time again for comments to be included in stories and for media coverage. Great interviews establish you as a great thought leader too, so getting media training if you need to or investing in pitching media interviews is fantastic in terms of media relations and building yourself as a thought leader in the eyes of the media. And it's just like a repetitive circle, right? So you're bringing content of value to your audiences over and over on multiple platforms through social media, through thought leadership articles, and then through your media relations. So more interviews, more bylines, more speaking slots that really amplify the message that you're trying to hit home with your key stakeholders. So the media see you as a thought leader, that builds you and your reputation in the eyes of journalists and the media, and therefore the eyes of your publics. And the last one is relationship building. You know, here on Maybe Pod at Maybe Agency, we consider any kind of communications with your publics to be public relations. That's where relationship building falls under thought leadership in PR strategy. It's anything that influences your relationships with your publics. So being a thought leader is also about connecting with other leaders and opinion makers in your field. So again, really tangibly, this could be strategic bilats, meetings at major events, introducing yourself to other known leaders in the field, finding other thought leaders that are relevant to your industry or subject matter, sharing ideas, and establishing yourself as a peer expert in their field. And what I love about this is that your thought leadership can also give way to those sorts of meetings. People might reach out to you, or you can be proactive and arrange these meetings, build these relationships to really be seen as a key thought leader with your peers in your field. So that's it. 4 easy ways that you can start from today to establish yourself in your organization as a thought leader in your field. We had social media content creation, thought leadership articles, media relations, relationship building. These can all fit into your PR strategy. And what I love about this is, as you see, it's not just about the media. It's not just about putting out thought leadership articles. This is a multi-platform approach. So utilizing social media content creation, reaching out to media and making sure they know you as a thought leader. They can bring you into interviews and stories, pitching thought leadership articles, again, different to opinion editorials, and meeting other peers in your field and industry that are going to increase your reputation, boost the credibility of your organization, and really cement you as a great thought leader. If you try one of these 4, we'd love to know how it went and also how you're thinking about thought leadership in your organization. If you have a comment or a question at any time, you can write to us at callme@maybe.agency. I hope you've learned something today. I hope you've got some concrete takeaways that will help you establish yourself and organization as thought leaders in your field across a range of platforms. If you couldn't tell, I'm a very big fan of thought leadership. So happy to have dedicated a whole episode of Maybe Pod to it. I'm sure it'll come up in subsequent episodes. Love thought leadership. Next week on Maybe Pod, we're delving into media alerts and the anatomy of a great media alert. How to use it, when to use it, why to use it. We'll get into it next week. So excited to see you then. My name's Katie Clift from Maybe Agency. This is Maybe Pod. We look forward to seeing you next week. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, follow, whatever you need to do. And we'll see you in the next episode of Maybe Pod, wherever you get your podcasts.